of higher quality, and it will require from our enterprise to have better marketing. And when I say marketing, I mean not that advertisement, but understanding of other markets and understanding needs of consumers on those markets. And if, to be honest, there could be some difficulties because we know and we feel our eastern neighbors. Because we speak their language, we understand them better. The number of people who speak Polish, Italian, German, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Dutch, etc., probably is less. So that number of people should grow. To sell successfully on the market, we need to understand culture of consumption and culture of clients. So that is, first of all, marketing. Only then you begin advertising. Ukrainian enterprises must be more innovative. So you have to take a formula which we use in business, marketing, innovation, brilliant results, and all the rest of the other costs. All three things are important. Marketing, I told you about innovations, about costs. That is, you have to know how to manage those costs for Ukrainian goods at the beginning, at least, to be competitive and to move costs. But in the future, I would like us to come to goods with high added value. And then there will be margin. The margin will be better. Profit will be better for us to move. Let's take an example from selling grain. We should move to sell in meat. Then we should sell organic meat, branded meat. That would be there would be a differentiation brand. It's interesting to pay attention now to just these three words: made in Ukraine. That is a brand that adds to the cost or it reduces the cost. That's a fact. And some studies show. So made in, just and put one of developed economies from the east or from the west, that adds 5%. Let's say Germany, 5%. I don't want to take just only one country. That adds to the cost. Adds value. Just put two glasses. One is made, and one is made in Germany, and you can sell it more expensive. And that is one of the issues we have to pay attention to. We must pay attention to finance and our export, because here we have some difficulties. So all of that is said, and where we have a common responsibility, I would like to underline before I answer your questions, because very often it is believed that Ministry of Economy, what do you do? For enterprises, exporters, for one market, for them to reorient to a different market. Probably there are something we do, but those enterprises are mostly responsible for that work. They must reorient their marketing, their innovations, so they should keep their cost low. For that proposal is very good on the market. A big event for Ukraine, for Ukrainian economy, will influence for long. So I'm happy to be in front of you in this historic moment, and I will be happy to answer questions. You thought that the introduction would be longer. Yes. I was tweeting about you and what you were telling, and for all the TV channels to have that online. But here's the question, Artem News 24. Tell me, please, once you told that it's possible to have a trade war with Russia, the European market, can it compensate what we lose on the Russian market? Can it compensate? I said also that it will be a sort of variant in what we have with relations with Russia. But everything that happens to Ukraine is we will come to normal relations, including trade relations with Russia. Will it compensate? Will EU market compensate losses if there is a negative scenario? Look, we can use math here, elementary math. So the number of people and number of population. So if you take EU and the customs union, it's twice more. If you take GDP per capita, that is even two times more. So I say that that market we are talking about, this is a 4 or 5 times bigger market in a year. At the same time, I described those risks we have. The eastern direction, we understand it better than we understand the western direction in general. So here, our wish is important, our wish to win, and European market is competitive. So free trade area, it's not only with us. First of all, it's among those 28 countries plus they have free trade area with Turkey, with North America. It's quite possible, etc. And Asia is interested in that market too. So that is a very competitive market. Let's take a different metaphor. So this is a League of Champion League comparing to CIS United Championship, and I see that football clubs would like to play in Champion League because victory is more valuable there and more important. That's the same with business in a material sense, not only in poetic expressions. 5-channel producers, they are working with Russia, like Motor Siege, metallurgy. Do you have consultations with them? Will they be able to change the direction? You see, this is a myth. You speak about metallurgy, and there are stereotypes in Ukraine and global stereotypes, but Ukrainian stereotype is if it's metallurgy, it's oriented at Russia. But you know what? It's not. Because in Russia they have their own metallurgy. The first trip I made on this position outside of Kiev, that was to Donetsk. That was in March, and one of the first enterprises I saw, that was a metallurgy enterprise in Donetsk. And I had the same startup, and I spoke about export. Russia? See, what are you talking about? So they said what I told you. They told Italy and the U.S. It's not only with that enterprise. So in this competition in metallurgy and Russian market, there is competition everywhere. But the question is where we win with what? With the same with what Russian competitors use. That is the costs and prices. So we can be more competitive on Western markets, and a lot of metallurgy enterprises they use that situation. One more enterprise that you mentioned, it has ties with Russian market, but at the same time it is quite globally it is quite competitive. Let's speak not about and not only about European market. Yes, it's a big market. It's an important market. But there are some other markets. I spoke about Southeast Asia. That's a huge market. Roughly speaking, 3 billion people, 10 times more than EU market. So it's clear that GDP is 10 times less. So that compensation, but that means that this is the same level market. And Middle East and North Africa, very interesting market. Africa under the Sahara to the south, very interesting market. There are a lot of Chinese, Russian companies pay attention to that market. Latin America, and every night we watch events, not on the market but on football pitches. Or in Brazil. You see, I will try to summarize my answer. We need, all of us, the state, but first of all, business. We should we should think globally, and this is a great opportunity because now we will have it. It's open for 2 months already, but we will speak about that more and more. Use this opportunity. Don't complain. Don't whimper. Just the world is open. It is open for winners, but why Ukraine and the Ukrainian companies cannot be such winners? Why companies you mentioned? Why can they export only to one market? They can export to many markets. That's the answer. No, nothing will replace energy of managers and owners, and no, not the minister or cabinet ministers. The role of our ministry is to open markets, and to provide support which we can, including that brand like Made in Ukraine. It's our responsibility, by the way. And for Made in Ukraine, quality of goods we export has influence on that. The higher we raise the quality of our goods that go to export, and then these three words, Made in Ukraine, will work better. So that is our common responsibility. Our shared responsibility. Ukraine crisis, media crisis. I have a painful question. How will we prepare and reformat our public servants to face those challenges? Challenges after we sign the agreement is we need to have reforms, but there are people and public servants who introduce reforms and they use Soviet schemes and Soviet approaches. Is there a program that will change or replace or reform or improve the stuff? A very good question. Thank you. Nothing will happen without HR, without people. Some quick thoughts. First of all that direction of European integration must be supported as a structure with some other substructures. That's why in the cabinet of ministers under the prime minister we build a special department, and it will be run by the vice prime minister on European integration. And there should be a decision like that, but we have such thoughts, and it will be correct, I believe. And later in every ministry there will be a deputy minister on European integration, and there is a competition. We announced it, and so people from out, and I received the first resumes, and it's very interesting that I want to see that person. I see an interesting buyer. 3 more come on the next day, and all 3 were interesting. So as I understand, with such speed, 1, 2, 3. Today there could be 5, 6, and 9. The only thing I will do, I will just have meetings with these people. So I asked to find 3 best, and I will see 3, 4 best. So there is demand, there is a supply. So there is new people, there is a flow of new people, and but it's very important that we need to change not only people, and we should train not only. We should educate not only people. Part of the answer is that we should set up new departments or change the departments that work for that goal. And that goal should be more clarified, better defined. That is one of insights and lessons for me during these 100 days in the ground. As soon as there is a clear goal, a wonder happens. So we move. For example, I can tell you, no visa regime. There is a clear goal we need to achieve that. For that we need to finish the first stage. We should approve for laws. All possible forces got in and visible and not visible. And when we need to have the joint meeting of European Commission and the cabinet office, the four laws were passed, approved, and we finished that first stage. So That is called a political will, but it works better not in if it is something vague, but when there is a clear goal. It could be such a goal, could be European integration, membership in EU. In economic sense, that is clearly defined, because I would not recommend anyone to with Poland, when they had a 40 from average level EU, they sent an application for EU membership. At that time, any union sees an opportunity for itself if that member joins. So a country with 45 million of people, 45, 46 joins on the level of 40% of GDP per capita from average in Europe. That's a very interesting market. Very interesting opportunities for European companies. They will lobby that. They will lobby that. They will say, let's do it because it's important. Now, when we are on the level of 10%, you can understand why they are concerned on the other side. Because that's why if we have this goal, then we see what should be done before that. Then it will be decomposed and integrated into some other characters, indexes, policies, and there will be a goal, KPI, what is called in every ministry. Malaysia, they do KPI for 6 months for our goal 2020. I take Polish experience too. So it's not, coming back to your question and finishing my answer, it's not only replacement of people, because I also observe a phenomenon that even we introduce new people into the old system. We heard that metaphor about cucumbers and pickles. You have to get rid of water and you have to put a different water. And it means systems, procedures, and processes. So we have to replace that too. So we are working. INTV. Comment please the situation with salt. There was information that our team's seal was captured, and then they didn't stop supplies, but now there is no salt in Dnipropetrovsk region, and in Kyiv we have it, but not Ukrainian. There is. I understand your question, and I have information about that. My immediate reaction was in your 3 last words, and I told, we are not on a global market, so I understand there could be some internal problems. The problem can be that the networks have not reoriented yet, and they have not, they didn't buy enough to solve that issue. The market should solve that. If there will be a need to interfere, probably will interfere for some time, because we are not a global market. It's easy to solve. Yes, you told there is salt from a different producer. There will be salt. It's business. Some business will find the way to bring it, and if there's a need to help us, we don't have trucks. We cannot that. We'll think what we can do for them. One more question. You tell about this quite good, but let's come back to realities. And half of our export goes to CIS. Do you plan by the end of the year how it will shrink? And Lavrov told clearly that they wanted to introduce sanctions against Ukraine against the interest of Russian producers. Do you have calculations how Ukraine will suffer from those Russian sanctions? I speak about realities, beautiful and beautiful. I speak about something more realistic than you. We don't have half of our export to CS. It's 1/3. You say one half. So just let's use precise numbers. Less than the third goes to CS. 1 point. A part of EU and our export went up from 28 to 33%. It went not only the other one, but a physical volume. We can make calculations for some absolute numbers, the importance, the weight of export went up in EU. It's even before we had these preferences. As to content and your concern, it has grounds. Three things. Do we calculate and develop scenarios? Yes, we do. The day before yesterday, we had a meeting in the working group by the Prime Minister, and we discussed that in details. We will continue that process, and the Prime Minister mentioned also when he opened the meeting of the government that we will speak to our key exporters, how they are planning, how about their markets, what they do, and how we can be useful to reorient to other markets, not only to European, if there will be an issue, if there will be a problem. Then there will be meetings, and meetings in the ministry probably, and the Prime Minister would like to have a joint final meeting in his office, and all that will take 1-2 weeks. So we work on that. It's not only your concern, it's our concern. And it will be around any big market. Second point, that concern should be of the concern of business and business, but first of all business, because it's our function to speak. Our function is not to produce, except administrative services, but there are enterprises that produce goods and services, so they should reorient, and we should deliver that opinion to them. Because that paternalism, which sounds very often what the government is doing, that's a responsibility of business, and that is a responsibility of enterprise. The government opens market, looks for money, helps. The government works for experts to be too easy to work with expert, too easy to start business, and for Ukrainian debt to be cheaper, than corporate debt will be cheaper, and some other things, indirect things. And thirdly, I told you, I wouldn't close for myself, especially for a long perspective, eastern direction. Yes, there is a problem. We can discuss, and it's very important that we discuss them. Russian Federation suggested to hold consultations. Please, let's sit down and let's have consultations, and to consult is better than to shoot. And they have concerns. Some concerns are justified, but many concerns are just made up, in our opinion. But to clarify, we have to sit down and talk. We are open to that. Tremarchak, Bloomberg agency. Can you tell us in numbers which reduction of trade with Russia we can expect, and the dynamic of GDP in the second quarter? We would like to have precise numbers. If you cannot, we will show would we have better results, worse results as to GDP dynamics and inflation. Thank you. To your first question, my human nature, I never put my losing task for myself. My task is to have better results, or to have positive results in trade with Russia. Everywhere I tell, even to our Russian colleagues, because they know trade is mutually profitable. This is a rule. This is axioma. It's a microeconomics of first semester. Politics. So there's a lot of politics. Then it means we should move to rational decisions. And we develop scenarios. Of course, we think about scenarios, and we have groups. And the group is to develop a scenario, included to think about a worst scenario. But for you and to society, I would suggest not to worst scenario because there are a lot of them in the air. I would offer a better scenario, and I would like to think how to achieve it. Then we start thinking positively, not negatively. Now I have to contradict myself because I cannot answer to your second question. The second quarter, look at the situation in the country, military situation in the country. Unfortunately, it's worse than we had in the first quarter. It's not a surprise that the economy will not show, judging by information we have statistically, and look outside what's happening, especially the more you go to the east. Unfortunately, the second quarter will not be better than the first. But we work for the second quarter of 2015 to be much better. Numbers will be in time. As soon as we have them, you'll get them. You speak about a basic. I speak about optimistic and good scenario, and you speak about basic scenario. A basic scenario is what we see, and what you see and we see, and we have statistics. What will be? I don't know. It's in minus. Basic scenario is in minus, but we think on how to make it positive, and we do everything possible for us not have those negative results. There are a lot of statements of Russian leadership that Russia is ready to defend the markets when we sign economic part of association agreement, and there are facts about limitation, restriction of trade, and Russia initiates that. Do you consider possible events? We demand sanctions. What about Ukraine? Do you consider such measures? Any government considers how to defend its market, including Ukrainian market. We have time for 1-2 questions. Alexei Spinetova, when in the context of in EU context, if economic association is signed, tomorrow it will be signed, and then how soon we will open our markets to EU? It's easy to answer. They open their market to Ukraine. We will open. We'll start opening our market in a year. What goods they expect on what Ukrainian goods they expect on Ukrainian market? That's a great question. I would like to switch our conversation and our thinking and the audience from the issue what we can get to the issue what we can offer to them. You see, the more we offer, the more we get. This is how it works in the world, and this is the way economy works. You cannot be in minus, too big minus, because then it will not be profitable for some. Trade is of mutual benefit, but if there is a too big minus, there will be a disbalance. And also we are in minus with Europe, and less than with Russia, even under normal conditions. Now, after the first quarter, what can we offer to EU? First of all, this is what we have on Ukraine, like food products, and I speak about goods with added value. I speak about agriculture. Chicken meat, and it's very interesting. from the information we have, they want more, even with it's very competitive on the European market, and there is a very good growth. Ukrainian land, you have to take it broader. It is not only with a fertile soil, but also with hydro resources and energy. Energy can be export-oriented industry. At some point, our brains, we have 45 million people. IT becomes important. I believe that if we take necessary reorientation, some clusters of machine building could be interesting for you. I believe that in time, from new industries we are talking about, because I'm a traditional, we can also add chemistry, chemical industry. From new, I mentioned IT. I would add two more: education and healthcare, because one of the last reports says that Ukrainian education, technical education, is quite competitive. It is not global enough, like it could be. Healthcare, look, if that two united together with hospitality tourism and medical tourism, for example, problems, discomfort and pains they have in Europe, and North Americans, especially healthcare on the state, which is financed from the state, no, they are ready to look for something cheaper. Of course, they have hygiene requirements and to services, and Eastern South Asia is quite active there, and it's there. And I know some dentists, and they start to receive demand from that. If you can have the same quality and it's cheaper, here's we have hands and brains. I would like to underline. This is a very good way to put the question. Let's think better what we can offer personally, as corporations, as a country, as a team, as a nation, because we have something to offer. If we become in such a position that the push will give to us, but how can you help us? What kind of donations can you give them to us? They will be tired of us. We can do it on our own. We are obliged to do that. That's how we will improve our competitiveness, and that's where our integration is to the world, to Europe. And thank you very much. Let's wait for the news and see you in the future. Thank you very much for the information, and thank you very much for your work for the agreement to be signed. Our next speaker will be at 2 o'clock.